Hello and welcome to another episode of mine. In today's video I'm going to be going through what a gold dealer puts in the reserve and the rationale for that. It was kind of raised in a question. I did say I'd make a video on it as I didn't really want to go through it in text. It just seemed like a very long and convoluted subject. Basically, I ended up with 27 proof half memorial sovereigns. As a dealer, my reserve, it gets me out of a sticky spot more times than it doesn't. On this occasion, it's been like a weight around my ankle. That's okay because it will turn around. I tend to put stuff in the reserve that I kind of have as a banker in the future. Now, it doesn't have to be a banker on the spot. Sometimes I'm not even buying things that are out of the reach of the ordinary person. So if you're just an average buyer of gold and you're buying from, say, Ackerson or the Royal Mint, just to name a few, not to miss any of the other big dealers out, they're all good at what they do. Please don't sue me. It's I'm not doing anything that the average person isn't. And then I've got stuff in the reserve that it will come in on a dealer basis and I'll move it up the value curve. Now, these types of things, they rarely go in the reserve. I'm more of I've got excess liquidity. I'm looking at it 3 months down the road, maybe 6 months down the road. What bills do I have? Do I have a tax bill? Is the liquidity there? And in my case, the liquidity was there to kind of beef up on these memorial sovereigns. Now, it was never meant to be that many. There is a long and convoluted story of how I've ended up with that many. Basically, I wanted 10. I wanted 10 memorials and I wanted to add those to the 10 Jubilee halves that I had. And my view was if I sit on them 3 to 5 years, that's fine. Now, my needs as a business have changed also. I would typically stack sovereigns as well. I don't really do that anymore. And you may be thinking, John, that's really counterintuitive. But as a lot of you know, I moved heavily into discount postage. It's just more lucrative to stack first class stamps. It's very easy to sell and it has a better function than gold. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but these days when sovereigns come in, I just get them in and get them off. And that's okay. I like gold. I'm very heavy in gold. I've got a lot of shares in gold mining stock. I do have a lot of gold on the books. But in terms of stacking it for the long term, it doesn't serve the same purpose anymore than it used to. Now, to go back to why I've got 27. So I had 10 of the Jubilee sovereigns. I wanted 10 of the memorial. So naturally, I'm looking at the design and I'm thinking it's very busy. I don't think there's going to be many 70s. I was proved wrong. I still dispute that. Rightly or wrongly, it doesn't matter that they all got 70s because the price will follow suit. It will just be factored into the pricing by the market overall. So yeah, I ordered in for, I think it was 15, and I was like, okay, my mate wants one. I'll probably sell a couple, and then I can send the rest in, and I can ping off the 69s. That's not a problem. And then I can put the 10 in the reserve. I also ordered the 5 set. Now, the dealer I ordered from, he sends me a message. Nice guy. He doesn't deal on social media networks. He has his own shop. I'm not sure if it's physical. I know it's online. I won't share it for obvious reasons. But he turns around and he says to me, I'm really sorry I've been bumped from the order. And I was like, oh, okay. So I thought, I've still got spare liquidity. Why don't I just buy more? So I ended up buying more. I went to another dealer, bought some more. And then I went back to this dealer and I said, you know what, put me down for another 5. And I think it brought it up to 30. So I ended up selling 3. And I sent all the others off for grading. Now, also, there's one thing that I've kind of got that helps me out. I have a box buyer. So I probably sell them off cheap. I don't really care. It's free money for me. So my box buyer will pay £15 a sovereign box. So he took the boxes. That's money for nothing in my eyes. It covers part of the grading and it keeps the cost down to a lower level. And that's fine. I know some people will say that's sacrilege. I never used to like that side of the business. I thought it was a bit meh. But it's kind of like if you have an animal and you're consuming it for meat, you want to use all of the animal. I used to give some boxes away, and I realised some people were taking the biscuit. They'd be like, "Oh, do you have like a 2005 box?" And then they'd sell it, and it's just like, why am I giving money away? I don't have a problem helping clientele out, but when you're taking essentially food off my table, it doesn't sit well with me. It goes against my principles of fairness. So yeah, I ended up ordering 30. And here's the real kicker, and this really damaged me for a few months. I ended up going on the website when the sovereigns were launched from the mint, and there was a 5. And I ended up ordering a 5. And I was like, I'll put it on my credit card. It's fine. I put it on the business credit card. That got declined. I don't know why that got declined, but it did. I ended up cancelling that credit card because it was just an absolute pain. So I was like, okay. I had some FOMO, which is not like me. I don't really get FOMO. Something is or it isn't. I'm not chasing. Opportunities are all around. But I ended up buying the 5, and it put me in a lot of trouble for liquidity because I ended up having the 5 set, which I had to send back twice, and got in a massive argument with the Royal Mint about. I was incredibly rude to them. I felt like they deserved to kick up the arse. Do I think they've changed from my tiny voice? No, not really. I don't think they care. And should I have said what I said? Probably not. But that's out of frustration when you've had a set 2 times and they can't even refund you in an adequate manner. So yeah, that's how I ended up with 27. Now, in terms of what I look for to put into my reserve, that's probably another added element of why I buy what I buy. Now, I looked at the full sovereign. It's too heavy in terms of mintage. In terms of like the secondary market, if stuff's coming in and I'm putting it in the reserve, typically it's something I like that will have great liquidity. So for example, the 2017 PF70 Sovereign, that will probably end up in the reserve. I'm okay with that. If I sit on 2 or 3, that's okay. With the modern stuff, I'm looking at what's the price point. Now, in terms of the Royal Mint, I don't think I'll be buying many sovereigns, proof sovereigns from them in the future because the price point is too high. They have squeezed collectors out for so much, and it really does damage to the secondary market. Again, they don't care. As long as they get paid, they don't really give a shit, to be honest. I think it's a very poor standard to set. And I've noticed the Royal Mail have done the same. They've squeezed the collectors, and what's happened to postage stamps? They're going the way of the dinosaur. I know that because my postage business is booming because the disparity between the collector's price, it's more beneficial for someone to sell it for postage than it is to collect it. And some occasions you're going to get 50 pence on the pound for it, which is crazy. I see that happening with the Royal Mint. So that covers one area of what I'm looking at. I'm looking at design. Is the design striking? Now, when you've been in the business a long time, you kind of notice certain designs do well and certain designs are just a bit, What mint is it from? That's another big one. Perth Mint, top tier mint. US Mint, top tier mint. Royal Mint, top tier mint. And then you've got the lesser mints. They're not lesser because their product quality is less. They just don't have that brand draw. So the Royal Mint will always sell, unless they push it too far. There was issues in the last sovereign, the King Sovereign, Coronation Sovereign. I watched from the side with glee, and I know that sounds awful, and I'm not really a bitter or resentful person. It's not really in my nature, but I was like, maybe a bop on the nose will teach them, because that's what they need. As a company, that's what they need. That's the only way they're going to improve. So yeah, is the design striking? Is it from a better mint? These are very important things. Is there a collector fanfare? So some things you put in a reserve, you're buying it for the reserve because there's a lot of potential and there's little downside risk. So if the price point is low and it's kind of a new series and the new series flies because it's really popular, these are the type of coins you want, because you're looking at an upside, sometimes 100%, 200%. I've had a few of them in my time. That's over the years. The market isn't there at the moment, but everything goes up and down and up in an elongated motion over time. We know this. You look at markets going back to 100 years. That's just how it works, and that's due to inflation being built into the system. There's going to be coins in the future where, they will fly. You will get them in because they're new series and they will absolutely fly. This won't necessarily happen with sovereigns because it's got pedigree, but some coins without pedigree I will put in a reserve. And I used to do that with silver. So for example, the Star Wars coins, there's a few of them. I looked at them and I was like, they're going to fly. For example, the gold-backed notes. Now they've come back down to a sensible premium, because what happened was everyone's like, oh, I can order these in from the States. I didn't personally order mine from the States. I don't deal internationally. I knocked that on the head as soon as Brexit happened, because it's not worth the aggro, it's not worth the paperwork for me. But they come in, you made your money. I had some of them in reserve. I think I had 400 or 500 notes in the reserve that I managed to source in the UK. And then when I saw the market absolutely collapse, I was like, let's get rid of them. So there's a few factors of what goes in a reserve and why. And sometimes it's just down to, is the money there? That's the brutal reality. If it's not there, it's not going in the reserve. When times are good and you're absolutely booming, you can make £3,000, £4,000, £5,000 over what you need, and that's happened. You put it in the reserve, and the reserve it swells, it gets bigger. And then when the bad times come, you look at the reserve, you think, where's the profit? So you sell it, and the reserve gets smaller because you're not making the baseline for what you need, and that's where we're at the moment. I hope that's been a useful video. It's 12 minutes of me talking. Fantastic. Take care, guys. Bye.